Have you ever watched a story that slowly pulls you in, and before you even realize it, you're completely lost inside its world? Ben-Hur is one of those films that doesn't just entertain, it makes you feel every moment. From the very beginning, the movie builds a sense of mystery and tension, where every scene carries meaning and every character hides something deeper beneath the surface. As the story unfolds, you start to see how small decisions lead to unexpected consequences. The film takes you through intense moments, emotional turns, and powerful scenes that keep you hooked till the very end. It's not just about what happens, it's about why it happens and how it changes everything. The characters in this film are not simple. Each one has a purpose, a backstory, and a role that connects to the bigger picture. Their performances bring life to the story, making every scene feel real and impactful. But what truly makes Ben-Hur stand out is the way it was created. The vision behind the story, the effort put into its production, and the ideas that inspired it. Every detail, from storytelling to execution, adds something unique to the overall experience. In this video, we're going to break down the complete story, explore the characters, and analyze everything from its creation to its success. And just to be clear, this is not a full movie or a movie screening. It's a detailed review and analysis made for learning and entertainment purposes. So let's begin and take a closer look at Ben-Hur. The story opens in a time that already feels heavy with control, where power is not just visible but deeply rooted in every part of life, and Jerusalem stands under Roman rule with a quiet tension that never fully disappears. And within this world, Judah Ben-Hur lives as a man of status and influence, respected, composed, and deeply connected to his people, and his life at this point feels stable, almost untouched by the larger conflict that surrounds him. But that stability does not last. Because the system he lives under is not neutral, it is waiting, and that shift begins when Messala returns, a figure from his past who once shared a bond with him, but now carries a completely different mindset shaped by loyalty to Rome. And this reunion does not unfold with warmth, it carries an undercurrent of difference that becomes clear almost immediately, because where Judah holds onto identity and belief, Messala embraces authority and control, and this contrast builds quietly until it turns into conflict. Because when Messala demands that Judah support him by exposing those who resist Roman rule, Judah refuses, not out of defiance for the sake of rebellion, but because it goes against everything he stands for, and that refusal breaks whatever connection they once had, turning familiarity into opposition. And from that moment, the direction of Judah's life begins to shift in a way that cannot be undone. The incident that follows does not feel like an act of intention, it feels accidental, almost insignificant at first, when a loose tile falls during the arrival of the Roman governor, but the reaction to it is anything but small, because Messala uses it as an opportunity to assert power, and in doing so he condemns Judah without hesitation, sending him into a life that strips away everything he once had, separating him from his mother and sister, and removing him from the world he knew. And this moment does not just change his situation, it reshapes his identity, because now he is no longer a man of position, he becomes part of a system designed to break people, and as he is taken away there is no sense of fairness, only control, only the demonstration of authority, and this marks the beginning of a journey that moves through suffering but never loses direction, because even in that moment something remains unbroken inside him. As Judah is forced into the harsh reality of the galleys, the environment becomes brutal and unforgiving, every movement controlled, every moment demanding endurance, and yet even within this system his presence stands out, not because he fights against it openly, but because he refuses to collapse under it, and this quiet resilience becomes visible to Quintus Arrius, a Roman commander who sees something different in him, something that does not fit the role he has been forced into, and this recognition becomes the first shift in Judah's path, because during the chaos of battle when everything breaks apart, Judah does not think of escape first, he acts, he survives, and he saves Arrius, and this act changes everything, because it turns him from a prisoner into someone valued, and from that moment his position begins to transform, not instantly but steadily, as he is brought into a different world where he is no longer bound by chains, and this transition does not erase what he has gone through, it carries it forward, shaping who he becomes. In Rome, his life takes on a new form, one that offers strength, skill, and recognition, and he grows into a figure of power once again, but this time that power is built on experience, on survival, and on discipline, and through Arius he is given a place, even a name, but beneath all of that there remains something unresolved, something that has not been left behind, because his past still exists. His family still exists somewhere, and the injustice he faced has not disappeared, and this is what drives him to return, not as the same man who left but as someone shaped by everything that followed. And when he comes back the world feels both familiar and distant, because it holds memories but not the same reality. And as he searches for what he lost he begins to uncover truths that were hidden from him, truths that carry pain but also direction. The discovery of his family's fate does not come as a moment of relief, it comes as a shock that reshapes his purpose. Because what he finds is not restoration but loss in a different form, and this pushes him toward a path defined by revenge, not as an impulsive reaction but as something that builds with every step, and this leads directly toward the confrontation with Misala, where everything that began between them reaches its most intense point, and the chariot race becomes more than a competition, it becomes a collision of everything that has been building, and in that moment the intensity is not just physical, it carries the weight of everything that came before, every choice, every consequence, and when it ends the result is not clean, it does not bring closure in a simple way, because even victory carries its own cost, and even defeat leaves behind something unresolved. From here the direction begins to shift again, not suddenly but gradually, as Judah moves beyond the idea that revenge alone can define his path, and this shift is influenced by something greater than conflict, something that enters his journey not through force but through presence, and this is where the figure of Jesus becomes central, not as a distant element but as a quiet influence that changes how Judah sees everything, and the connection between them, first formed in a simple act of kindness, carries forward into something much deeper, and this is where the story moves beyond struggle into understanding, because what Judah begins to realize is that strength does not only come from overcoming enemies, it comes from letting go of what binds him to them, and this realization does not erase what happened, but it changes how he carries it, and in the final moments as everything comes together the focus shifts from conflict to transformation, where healing replaces loss and understanding replaces anger, and this does not feel like an ending, it feels like a continuation shaped by everything that has come before, where the direction remains clear, but the purpose has changed, and that change is what gives the story its lasting impact. Judah does not step into a new life as if the past has been erased, he carries everything with him but it no longer controls him, and this shift becomes clear in the way he moves through each moment with a calm understanding that replaces the intensity he once held. Because what he has gone through has not disappeared, it has changed shape inside him, and as he returns to his home the space feels familiar yet different, not because the walls or surroundings have changed but because his perspective has, and when he stands with his mother and sister there is no need for dramatic words, the weight of everything they endured is already present, and that presence creates a quiet connection that feels stronger than anything spoken, and Esther remains beside him not as someone who completes him but as someone who understands him, and that understanding forms a bond built on shared experience rather than expectation, and as they move forward together the direction of his life no longer revolves around loss or confrontation, it is guided by clarity, and this clarity allows him to exist within the same world without being shaped by its pressure, because the systems of control and authority still remain, nothing around him has changed in that sense, but his relationship to it is no longer defined by resistance or anger, it is defined by awareness, and this awareness gives him a steadiness that cannot be taken away, and as time continues the story does not need to push toward another conflict to hold its weight, because everything that needed to be faced has already been lived through, and what remains is a sense of continuation that feels complete without needing closure, where each moment connects naturally to what follows, and the journey that began with certainty, moved through loss, and reached understanding now carries forward with purpose, not as something that ends but as something that continues to exist beyond the point where the story leaves it, holding its meaning without needing to repeat itself or return to what has already been resolved. Judah moves forward with a sense of clarity that has been earned through everything he has faced, and this clarity does not come from forgetting the past but from understanding it in a way that no longer controls him, because what once pushed him toward anger and confrontation has now settled into something steadier, something that allows him to exist without being driven by what was taken from him. And as he stands within his home again, the space feels familiar yet transformed, not because anything around him has changed, but because his perspective has shifted completely, and this shift becomes most visible in the quiet moments, in the way he looks at his mother and sister, not with the urgency of someone trying to reclaim what was lost, but with the calm of someone who understands that what remains is enough. And this creates a connection that feels grounded, not built on dramatic emotion but on shared endurance, on everything they have survived together, and Esther remains close to him, not as a symbol of something new but as a continuation of something that has always been there, her presence steady, her understanding clear, and this allows their bond to grow without pressure, without the need to prove anything, because it is already rooted in everything they have experienced. And as they move forward together, the direction of Judah's life no longer revolves around a single goal. It expands into something more balanced, where each step is guided by awareness rather than reaction, and this awareness changes how he exists within the world around him, because the structures of power and control that once shaped his fate still remain exactly as they were. Nothing in that sense has shifted, but his relationship to them has changed entirely, and this is where the true transformation becomes visible, because he is no longer defined by opposition. He is no longer driven to push against everything that stands in front of him. Instead, he moves with a sense of understanding that allows him to remain steady even when the world around him does not change. And this steadiness gives the story its final shape, not as something that resolves everything but as something that continues beyond what is shown. Because the journey does not end when the conflict fades, it continues in how that conflict is carried forward. And Judah's story becomes one that holds its meaning through continuity rather than conclusion, where every moment that came before it still exists within it, shaping each step without repeating itself. And this creates a progression that feels complete not because it stops but because it no longer needs to prove anything. It simply continues with purpose, with clarity, and with a presence that remains grounded in everything that has already been lived through. And as time moves forward, that presence does not weaken, it becomes more defined. Because it is no longer searching for direction, it already has it, and this is what gives the story its lasting impact. Not a final moment or a dramatic end, but the sense that everything continues exactly as it should, shaped by everything that came before without needing to return to it again, carrying forward with a calm strength that does not fade, a direction that does not break, and a meaning that remains intact without needing to be repeated or reinforced. The story continues without shifting tone or direction, because everything that defines Judah is already in place, and what changes now is how that clarity carries into the world around him, shaping each moment in a way that feels steady and grounded. And as he moves through his life, there is no longer any urgency to confront or prove anything, because the need for that has already passed. And this allows his presence to settle into something calm and controlled, where every decision comes from understanding rather than reaction, and this understanding extends into the way he sees others, because the distance that once existed between him and the world begins to fade, not through sudden connection but through quiet recognition, and this recognition allows him to exist among people without conflict defining his role, and this creates a different kind of strength, one that does not rely on force but on stability, and as this stability holds the world around him continues as it always has. Systems remain in place, power still operates in the same way, nothing shifts outwardly, but inwardly everything has changed, and this contrast becomes the foundation of what remains, because it shows that transformation does not always come from changing the world itself. Sometimes it comes from changing how one exists within it, and this is what defines Judah now, not the events that shaped him but the way he carries them forward. And as time moves on, his connection with Esther grows deeper in a way that feels natural and unforced, not built on dramatic moments but on shared presence, on the quiet understanding that they both carry, and this allows their bond to remain steady, unaffected by the pressures that once defined their lives. And within this space there is no need for conflict to return, because the story has already moved beyond that stage, and what remains is continuity, where each moment flows into the next without interruption, and this continuity is what gives the narrative its final strength. because it allows everything to exist without needing resolution. And as Judah continues his life, the weight of what he has experienced does not disappear, it remains, but it no longer defines him, it supports him, it shapes his awareness without limiting it, and this creates a sense of completion that does not rely on an ending, because the story does not close, it extends, carrying everything forward in a way that feels natural, grounded, and fully connected to everything that came before it, allowing the journey to remain present even as it moves beyond the point where it is being told. The narrative carries forward in a way that feels fully grounded, where nothing is rushed and nothing is stretched, and what becomes clear now is how every moment holds its place without needing to stand out, because the direction is already set and everything continues within it with quiet certainty, and Judah moves through this phase with a steady awareness that reflects everything he has learned, not reacting to the world around him in the way he once did but understanding it as it unfolds. And this allows him to act without tension, without the need to control outcomes, because he no longer measures his path through conflict, he moves through it with clarity, and this clarity shapes how he interacts with everything around him, because where there was once resistance there is now balance. And this balance does not come from avoiding difficulty, it comes from no longer being defined by it. And as he continues forward, the presence of his family remains central, not as something fragile that needs protection but as something strong that has already endured more than most. And this shared endurance creates a connection that feels stable, one that does not depend on circumstances but exists regardless of them. And Esther remains a part of this space in a way that feels natural, not separate but integrated into everything that surrounds Judah. And their bond continues to deepen without needing dramatic expression, because it is built on understanding, and that understanding allows them to exist together without pressure, without expectation, simply moving forward with the same awareness that guides everything else in their lives. And as time continues, the world outside remains unchanged in structure, authority still exists, power still moves in the same patterns, but Judah's place within it has shifted completely, because he is no longer positioned against it, he exists within it without being shaped by it, and this difference becomes the defining element of what remains, because it shows that transformation is not always visible from the outside, it exists within the way a person moves, the way they see, the way they respond, and this is what gives the story its lasting weight, because nothing needs to change outwardly for everything to feel different. And as this understanding holds steady, the narrative continues without needing to return to conflict, because the purpose has already evolved beyond that, and what remains is continuity. A progression where each moment connects naturally to the next, and this connection creates a flow that feels complete, not because it ends but because it no longer needs to prove anything. And as Judah continues his life, the experiences that shaped him remain present, not as burdens but as part of his awareness, guiding him without restricting him, and this creates a sense of calm strength that does not fade, because it is rooted in everything he has already faced, and as this strength carries forward, the story maintains its direction without breaking its rhythm, allowing each moment to exist fully without needing to repeat or reinforce itself. And this is what defines the final movement, not an ending but a continuation that holds its meaning without needing to return to what has already been resolved, carrying forward with clarity, with balance, and with a presence that remains steady no matter how the world around it continues to move. The narrative continues with a deeper sense of calm where each moment feels complete on its own yet still connected to everything that came before it, and this creates a flow that does not rely on sudden turns or dramatic shifts, because the direction has already been established and now it simply carries forward with clarity. And Judah moves through this phase with a quiet awareness that guides every step he takes, not reacting to what appears in front of him but understanding it as it forms. And this allows him to act without hesitation and without conflict shaping his choices, and this presence changes how he exists within the world around him, because he no longer sees it as something to oppose, he sees it as something to move through with understanding, and this shift becomes more visible in the way he interacts with others, because where there was once distance there is now connection, not forced or sudden but natural, built on recognition rather than reaction, and this Recognition allows him to remain steady even when the world around him continues to operate in the same way it always has, because nothing outwardly has changed. Authority still holds its place, systems remain as they were, but his relationship to them is no longer defined by resistance, and this difference creates a balance that carries through every part of his life. And as he continues forward, his connection with his family remains strong, not because they have returned to what they once were, but because they have moved beyond it together, and this shared experience forms a foundation that does not shift, allowing them to exist without fear of losing what they have regained. And Esther remains an essential part of this space, her presence steady and grounded, and the connection between her and Judah continues to grow in a way that feels natural, not driven by urgency or expectation but by understanding. And this understanding allows them to move forward without needing to define what lies ahead, because the direction is already clear, and as time continues, the narrative does not seek to introduce new conflict, it remains focused on continuity, on how each moment leads into the next without disruption, and this continuity becomes the strength of the story, because it allows everything to exist without needing to prove itself. And as Judah continues his path, the experiences that shaped him remain present, not as weight but as guidance, and this guidance allows him to remain steady in a world that has not changed, and this steadiness is what defines the final progression, because it shows that transformation does not always require visible change. Sometimes it exists entirely within how a person carries forward what they have lived through, and this creates a sense of completion that does not rely on an ending, because the story continues through that understanding, holding its form while still moving forward with purpose, clarity, and a presence that remains fully connected to everything that came before it. The movement carries on with a steady sense of purpose where nothing feels forced and nothing needs to be repeated, because everything that matters has already taken shape and now continues forward through quiet consistency. And Judah lives within this space with a calm awareness that does not shift. He understands the weight of what he has lived through, and that understanding guides how he moves, not pushing him toward conflict but allowing him to remain balanced even when the world around him continues to operate in the same patterns, and this creates a presence that feels grounded, one that does not depend on control over others but on control within himself, and this inner stability becomes the defining element of his life, because it allows him to face each moment without being pulled back into what has already passed. And as he continues forward, the connection with his family remains central, not as something fragile but as something that has already endured and now stands with strength, and this shared endurance forms a bond that does not require constant expression. It simply exists, steady and unbroken, and Esther remains beside him with the same quiet strength, her presence natural, her understanding clear, and together they move forward without needing to define every step, because the direction is already understood. And this creates a sense of continuity that does not rely on change to remain active, because the meaning now exists within how each moment is carried. And as time moves forward, the world outside continues as it always has. Authority remains, systems remain, nothing outwardly shifts, but Judah is no longer shaped by those forces. He exists within them without being controlled by them, and this difference becomes the core of what remains, because it shows that transformation does not require the world to change, it requires a change in how one stands within it. And this realization gives the narrative its lasting strength, because it allows everything to continue without needing to return to conflict or resolution. And as Judah continues his life, the experiences that shaped him remain present, not as burdens but as part of his understanding, guiding him without limiting him. And this creates a progression that feels complete without needing an ending, because it does not close, it continues, carrying forward with clarity, with balance, and with a presence that remains steady, allowing every moment to exist as part of a larger flow that does not break, does not repeat, and does not need to prove itself again. The story continues with a quiet depth that comes from everything already being in place, where nothing needs to be pushed forward and nothing feels unfinished, because the direction is clear and every moment carries its meaning without effort. And Judah moves through this stage with a calm presence that reflects a complete shift in how he sees the world, not reacting to events as they appear but understanding them as part of a larger flow. And this allows him to remain steady even when structures around him continue to operate with the same force and authority, because his relationship with that world has changed entirely, and this change becomes visible in the smallest details, in the way he listens, in the way he responds, in the way he allows each moment to unfold without forcing it into something it does not need to be, and this creates a sense of balance that carries through everything he does, because there is no longer any conflict between who he is and what he faces, and this balance gives his presence a strength that does not rely on dominance. It comes from clarity, from understanding, from knowing when to act and when to let things move on their own. And as this continues, his connection with his family remains strong in a way that feels natural and grounded, not defined by what they lost but by what they've carried through together. And this shared endurance creates a bond that does not need to be reinforced. It exists fully, steady and unshaken, and Esther remains a central part of this space, her presence calm, her understanding aligned with his, and together they move forward without needing to define their future in exact terms, because the direction they follow is already understood, and this creates a relationship that feels stable, not driven by uncertainty but supported by everything they have already lived through. And as time continues, the world around them does not transform in any visible way. Authority still holds its place. Systems continue as they always have, but Judah is no longer shaped by those systems. He exists within them without being controlled by them, and this difference becomes the foundation of the story's final movement, because it shows that true change does not always come from altering the world itself. It comes from altering how one stands within it, and this understanding allows the narrative to continue without needing to return to conflict, because the purpose has already shifted beyond that point, and what remains is a steady progression where each moment connects naturally to the next, and this continuity creates a flow that feels complete without needing an ending, because the story does not close, it extends, carrying forward everything that came before it in a way that feels natural and fully connected. And as Judah continues his life, the experiences that shaped him remain present, not as something that weighs him down but as something that gives him direction, and this direction does not change, it remains clear, allowing him to move forward with confidence that does not need to be proven, and this is what gives the story its lasting presence, because it does not depend on a final moment to define itself, it is defined by how it continues, by how each step builds on what came before without repeating it, and this creates a sense of completion that exists within continuity, where everything holds its place and moves forward without interruption, without conflict, and without the need to return to what has already been resolved, carrying its meaning with a quiet strength that remains steady through every moment that follows. And as this movement continues, the sense of clarity becomes even more defined, because nothing feels uncertain, everything exists exactly where it should, and this allows the narrative to maintain its structure while still evolving, because each new moment fits naturally into what has already been established, and this integration keeps the story aligned, allowing it to move forward without breaking its rhythm, and as this rhythm holds steady, the presence of each character remains purposeful, because no one exists outside the flow, everyone contributes to the same direction in their own way, and this keeps the entire progression connected, allowing every element to move forward while remaining part of the same larger whole. And as this steady movement continues, the story reaches a point where it no longer needs to build toward anything. It simply exists within its own clarity, carrying forward with a sense of calm strength that does not fade, because it is rooted in everything that has already been lived, understood, and carried beyond the point where it first began. The narrative carries forward with a deeper sense of stillness where nothing feels unfinished and nothing needs to be added, because everything that defines this journey already exists and now continues through how it is lived. And Judah moves within this space with a calm awareness that does not shift. He no longer measures his path through what he must overcome but through how he chooses to move, and this choice is no longer driven by reaction. It comes from understanding, from a place that remains steady no matter how the world around him continues to operate, and this creates a presence that feels grounded, one that does not seek to control outcomes but allows each moment to unfold with clarity, and as this continues, the connection with his family remains central, not as something that needs to be protected but as something that has already endured and now stands with quiet strength. And this strength is not expressed through words or actions. It exists in how they remain together, in how they move forward without needing to return to what has already passed. And Esther continues to stand beside him with the same steady presence, her understanding aligned with his, and together they form a bond that does not rely on promises or expectations. It exists through shared awareness, through everything they have experienced and everything they now carry forward. And as time moves on, the world outside does not change. Authority still holds its place, systems remain exactly as they were, but Judah's place within that world is no longer defined by resistance or struggle. He exists within it without being shaped by it, and this difference becomes the foundation of everything that follows, because it shows that transformation does not always come from changing the world itself. It comes from changing how one stands within it. And this understanding allows the narrative to continue without needing to introduce new conflict, because the purpose has already evolved beyond that, and what remains is continuity, a steady progression where each moment flows into the next without interruption, and this flow creates a sense of completion that does not depend on an ending, because the story does not close, it extends, carrying forward everything that has been lived in a way that feels natural and connected. And as Judah continues his life, the experiences that shaped him remain present, not as something that holds him back but as something that gives him direction, and this direction remains clear, allowing him to move forward with a calm confidence that does not need to be proven. And this is what gives the story its lasting presence, because it is not defined by a final moment, it is defined by how it continues, by how each step builds on what came before without repeating it, and this creates a progression that feels complete within itself while still moving forward, holding its meaning without needing to return to it again. And as this movement continues, the sense of clarity becomes even stronger, because nothing feels uncertain, everything exists exactly where it should, and this allows the narrative to remain steady while still evolving, because each new moment fits naturally into what has already been established, and this integration keeps the story aligned, allowing it to move forward without breaking its rhythm. And as this rhythm holds steady, the presence of each character remains purposeful, because no one stands outside the flow. Everyone contributes to the same direction in their own way, and this keeps the entire progression connected, allowing every element to move forward while remaining part of the same larger whole. And as this steady movement continues, the story reaches a point where it no longer needs to build toward anything. It simply exists within its own clarity, carrying forward with a sense of calm strength that does not fade, because it is rooted in everything that has already been lived, understood, and carried beyond the point where it first began, and this is what allows it to remain present even as it continues beyond the moment in which it is being told, holding its direction without needing to return, without needing to repeat, and without ever losing the meaning that has been built through every step along the way. The story continues with a deeper sense of calm where everything feels grounded in what has already been lived, and nothing needs to be forced forward because the direction is clear and steady. And Judah moves through this stage with a presence that reflects full understanding, not reacting to situations as they appear but seeing them as part of a larger flow that no longer unsettles him. And this awareness allows him to remain balanced even as the world around him continues in the same patterns of power and control, because his place within that world has changed completely, and this change becomes visible in how he carries himself, in the way he speaks, in the way he listens, in the way he allows each moment to exist without trying to shape it into something else. And this creates a sense of stability that extends into every part of his life. And as he continues forward, his connection with his family remains central, not defined by what they endured but strengthened by it. And this shared endurance creates a bond that feels unshaken, something that does not need to be reinforced because it already exists with quiet strength. And Esther remains beside him with the same steady presence, her understanding aligned with his, and together they move forward without needing to define what lies ahead, because the direction they follow is already understood, and this creates a relationship that feels natural and grounded, one that does not depend on uncertainty or expectation. And as time continues, the world outside does not shift, authority remains, systems remain, everything continues as it always has, but Judah is no longer shaped by those forces, he exists within them without being controlled by them, and this difference becomes the foundation of everything that follows, because it shows that transformation does not always come from changing the world. It comes from changing how one stands within it, and this understanding allows the narrative to continue without returning to conflict, because the purpose has already moved beyond that, and what remains is continuity, a steady progression where each moment flows into the next without interruption, and this flow creates a sense of completion that does not rely on an ending, because the story does not close, it extends, carrying forward everything that has been lived in a way that feels natural and fully connected. And as Judah continues his life, the experiences that shaped him remain present, not as something that weighs him down but as something that gives him direction, and this direction remains clear, allowing him to move forward with a calm confidence that does not need to be proven. And this is what gives the story its lasting presence, because it is not defined by a final moment, it is defined by how it continues, by how each step builds on what came before without repeating it, and this creates a progression that feels complete within itself while still moving forward, holding its meaning without needing to return to it again. And as this movement continues, the sense of clarity becomes even stronger, because nothing feels uncertain, everything exists exactly where it should, and this allows the narrative to remain steady while still evolving, because each new moment fits naturally into what has already been established. And this integration keeps the story aligned, allowing it to move forward without breaking its rhythm. And as this rhythm holds steady, the presence of each character remains purposeful, because no one stands outside the flow, everyone contributes to the same direction in their own way, and this keeps the entire progression connected, allowing every element to move forward while remaining part of the same larger whole. And as this steady movement continues, the story reaches a point where it no longer needs to build toward anything. It simply exists within its own clarity, carrying forward with a sense of calm strength that does not fade, because it is rooted in everything that has already been lived, understood, and carried beyond the point where it first began, and this is what allows it to remain present even as it continues beyond the moment in which it is being told, holding its direction without needing to return, without needing to repeat, and without ever losing the meaning that has been built through every step along the way. The story moves forward in a way that feels real and grounded, where nothing is added just to stretch it and nothing is repeated just to fill space, because now every moment matters on its own, and Judah lives with a mindset that has completely changed from where he started. He is no longer chasing anything, no revenge, no power, no control, and this is what makes his presence different now, because earlier every step had tension behind it, but now every step has clarity, and this clarity shows in the way he deals with people. He listens more, speaks less, and reacts only when it actually matters, and this creates a calm authority around him that does not need to be proven. People feel it without him trying, and as time passes, his home becomes a place of stability, not because life suddenly became perfect, but because the people inside it are no longer broken the way they once were. And this healing does not feel magical or instant, it feels earned, because every person there has gone through something that changed them, and now they carry that change in a way that makes them stronger instead of weaker, and Esther's role in this becomes even more important, not through big actions but through consistency. She is always present, always understanding, and that makes her connection with Judah feel natural instead of forced, and this is what makes their relationship believable, because it grows without needing dramatic moments, it grows through time, through presence, through shared understanding. And outside this small space, the world remains exactly the same. Nothing changes in the system, power still belongs to the same hands, authority still operates the same way, but the difference now is that Judah is not trying to fight it or become part of it, he simply exists within it without letting it define him, and this is where the story becomes stronger, because it shows that real change is not always about changing the world. Sometimes it is about not letting the world change you, and this idea stays consistent as everything moves forward, because there is no need to go back to conflict. That phase is already done, and now the story focuses on what comes after, on how a person lives once everything has settled, and this is what gives it weight, because it does not end at the peak, it continues after it, showing what remains when everything intense has already passed. And Judah's life now is not empty, it is full, but in a quiet way, where every day has meaning without needing to be dramatic, and this is what makes the journey feel complete, not because it stops, but because it no longer needs to prove anything. It simply continues with purpose, with stability, and with a sense of direction that stays clear without needing to be explained again and again. The story keeps moving in a grounded way where nothing feels forced and nothing repeats, because now every moment stands on its own and adds something new. And Judah lives with a calm mindset that shapes how he handles everything around him. He does not rush into decisions, he observes first, understands the situation, then acts only when needed, and this makes his presence feel controlled and steady. And people around him begin to respond to that, not because he demands anything, but because his way of dealing with things creates trust, and this trust becomes part of his life, not something he chases, but something that builds naturally over time. And as days pass, his home becomes more than just a place. It becomes a space where stability exists, where people feel safe without needing to say it, and this comes from the fact that everyone there has already faced the worst and survived it, and that shared experience creates a strong connection that does not break easily. And Esther continues to play a key role in this, not through big moments but through consistency. She understands without asking, supports without pushing, and this makes her presence feel essential, and the bond between her and Judah grows in a simple and real way, not based on sudden emotion but on time and shared understanding. And outside this space, the world continues in the same pattern. Power remains where it was, authority still controls everything, but Judah is no longer affected by it in the same way. He does not try to challenge it directly, and he does not try to become part of it either. He simply lives within it without letting it control his actions, and this is what makes his transformation real, because it is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is visible in how he lives every day. And as time continues, the story does not go back to conflict, it stays focused on what comes after, on how life continues once everything intense has already happened. And this is where the story gains strength, because it shows that the real meaning is not in the struggle alone, it is in what you become after it. And Judah's life now reflects that clearly. He is no longer defined by what he lost, he is defined by how he chose to move forward. And this creates a sense of completeness that does not need an ending, because the journey continues in a natural way, steady, clear, and fully grounded in everything that has already been lived. The story moves forward with a deeper sense of life in it, where everything feels real and nothing is added just for effect, because now the focus is on how Judah actually lives after everything he has gone through. And this is where the weight of his journey truly shows, not in big events but in small everyday moments, in the way he wakes up without the anger that once drove him, in the way he walks through the streets without looking for enemies, in the way he interacts with people without expecting anything in return. And this change is not something that appears suddenly, it is something that settles slowly, becoming part of him over time, and that is what makes it feel real, because it is not forced, it grows naturally from everything he has experienced, and the people around him begin to notice the shift, not because he announces it but because it reflects in his actions, in how he treats others with patience instead of pressure, in how he listens without interrupting, in how he chooses his words carefully. And this creates a respect that is different from what he once had. Earlier his status gave him power, now his character gives him influence, and that influence is stronger because it is not based on position, it is based on who he has become, and this makes his presence feel solid, something that does not need to prove itself again and again. His home continues to grow into a place where stability is felt in a quiet way, not because everything is perfect but because the people inside it understand each other deeply, and that understanding removes the need for constant explanation. His mother carries a sense of peace that comes from what she has survived. His sister regains her strength not just physically but emotionally, and this shared recovery builds a connection that feels unbreakable, and Judah becomes the center of that space. Not by controlling it but by holding it together through his steadiness, and Esther remains beside him with the same calm presence. And what makes her important is not dramatic actions but consistency. She is always there, always aware, always understanding what is needed without being told, and this makes their relationship strong in a natural way, because it is built on trust, on time, on everything they have lived through together, and there is no rush in how it grows, it develops at its own pace, making it feel real instead of forced. Outside this space, the world continues exactly as it always has. Nothing changes in the structure of power, authority still controls everything, decisions are still made by the same hands, but Judah's role in that world is no longer the same. He does not try to fight it openly, and he does not try to become part of it either. He moves through it with awareness, choosing where to act and where to step back. And this makes him different from those around him, because most people are either controlled by the system or trying to break it, but Judah exists without being trapped in either position, and this is what makes his transformation meaningful, because it shows a different way of living, one that is not based on constant struggle. And as time passes, this approach begins to influence others, not in a loud or direct way, but in how people start to see him, how they start to trust his judgment, how they begin to understand that strength does not always come from force. Sometimes it comes from control, from patience, from knowing when to act and when not to. As the days move forward, the story does not return to large conflicts, because it does not need them anymore. It stays focused on continuity, on how life actually continues after everything intense has already happened, and this is what gives the narrative its depth, because it shows that the Real journey is not just about surviving the hardest moments, it is about what comes after, about how a person lives when there is nothing left to fight. And Judah's life now reflects that clearly. He is no longer defined by revenge, no longer driven by loss. He is defined by his choices, by how he treats others, by how he carries himself, and this creates a sense of completeness that feels natural, not because the story stops, but because it reaches a point where it does not need to push further to prove anything. It has already shown everything it needed to, and now it simply continues in a steady, grounded way. And as this continuation holds, the meaning of everything that happened before becomes even clearer, because it is not just about what he went through, it is about what he became because of it, and this is what gives the story its lasting impact. Not a final moment or a dramatic ending, but the feeling that everything continues beyond what is shown, that the journey does not stop when the story does, it moves forward quietly, steadily, carrying its meaning without needing to repeat it, without needing to go back, and without needing to prove itself again, because everything has already been lived, understood, and accepted in a way that feels complete. The story continues in a way that feels grounded in real life, where nothing is exaggerated and nothing repeats, because now the focus stays on how Judah lives with everything he has learned, and this is where his character feels the most complete, not because something new happens, but because of how he handles what is already there, and this is visible in the smallest details, in how he approaches conversations without tension, in how he listens to people without judgment, in how he gives space instead of forcing his presence, and this creates a calm environment around him that others naturally respond to, and over time this becomes a part of his identity, not something he tries to show, but something that reflects in everything he does, and people begin to rely on him, not because he holds power, but because he holds balance, and this balance makes him someone others trust, someone they feel safe around, and this kind of influence grows slowly but stays strong because it is not built on fear or control, it is built on consistency. His home continues to represent that same stability, where each person carries their past but is no longer controlled by it, and this shared understanding creates a connection that does not need constant reassurance, because it already exists at a deeper level, and his mother carries a quiet strength that comes from survival. His sister begins to live without the shadow of what she went through, and this shift in them reflects back on Judah, strengthening the space they share, and Esther remains central to this balance, her presence steady, her actions simple but meaningful, and this is what makes her role so important, because she does not try to change anything, she supports what already exists, and this allows her bond with Judah to grow in a way that feels natural and unforced, built on trust rather than expectation, and this kind of connection does not break easily, it holds because it is based on understanding rather than emotion alone. Outside their world, nothing changes in the larger system, power still belongs to those who hold authority, decisions are still made in the same way, but Judah no longer reacts to it the way he once did, he is not driven to challenge it at every step, and he is not trying to fit into it either, he simply moves within it with awareness, choosing where his presence matters and where it does not. And this ability to choose becomes one of his greatest strengths, because it allows him to avoid unnecessary conflict while still standing firm when needed. And this balance is what sets him apart from others, because most people either fight everything or accept everything, but Judah finds a middle ground that allows him to remain steady, and this steadiness becomes more powerful over time, because it does not break under pressure. As time moves forward, the story remains focused on continuity, not returning to large dramatic events, because it does not need them anymore. It focuses on what happens after everything intense has already passed, and this is what gives the narrative its depth, because it shows that the real meaning of a journey is not just in the struggle, but in how a person lives after it, and Judah's life reflects that clearly. He is no longer defined by what he lost, he is defined by how he chose to move forward, and this creates a sense of completion that feels natural, not forced. And this completion does not come from an ending, it comes from understanding, from reaching a point where nothing more needs to be proven, and everything simply continues with clarity. And this is where the story finds its final strength, not in a dramatic close, but in a steady continuation, where every moment carries meaning without needing to be repeated, where every step feels connected without needing to be explained again. And as Judah continues his life, the journey remains present within him, shaping his actions without controlling them, guiding his choices without limiting them. And this is what allows the story to stay alive beyond what is shown, because it does not depend on a final scene. It exists in the continuation, in the quiet movement forward, in the sense that everything that needed to happen has already happened, and now what remains is how it is lived, day by day, moment by moment, without noise, without repetition, and without losing the clarity that has been built through everything that came before. The story continues in a grounded and natural way where nothing feels stretched and nothing is repeated, because now the focus stays fully on how Judah lives after everything he has gone through, and this is where his journey gains its real depth, not through new conflict but through how he carries himself in everyday life. Because earlier his actions were driven by pain, anger, and the need to take something back, but now every step comes from clarity, and this clarity changes everything. Changes how he speaks, how he listens, how he looks at people, because there is no longer any urgency in him, no need to prove anything, and this makes his presence feel calm but strong at the same time, and people begin to notice this without him trying. They trust him not because he demands it but because he remains consistent, and this consistency becomes his real strength, something that builds slowly but lasts. And as time passes, this influence spreads in a quiet way, not through authority, but through example, because the way he handles situations starts to affect how others respond, and this makes him different from those who rely on power or fear, because he does not need either of those things to be respected and understood. His home becomes the clearest reflection of this change, not because it is perfect but because it feels stable, and that stability comes from the people inside it. His mother carries a deep sense of peace that comes from everything she has survived. His sister begins to live without the fear that once defined her, and this shared recovery builds a connection that feels strong and real, something that does not need to be explained, and Judah becomes the center of that space, not by controlling it but by holding it together through his steadiness. And Esther remains a key part of this balance, her presence quiet but essential. She understands without needing words, supports without creating pressure, and this is what makes her connection with Judah feel natural, because it is built on time, on trust, on everything they have already lived through, and this kind of bond grows slowly but remains strong, and it does not rely on dramatic moments to feel meaningful. Outside this space, the world continues exactly as it always has. Nothing changes in the structure of power, authority still operates in the same way, and people still live under the same system. But Judah is no longer reacting to it the way he once did. He is not trying to fight it directly, and he is not trying to become part of it either. He moves within it with awareness, choosing when to act and when to step back, and this ability to choose becomes one of his greatest strengths, because it allows him to avoid unnecessary conflict while still standing firm when it truly matters. And this balance is what sets him apart from others, because most people either resist everything or accept everything, but Judah finds a way to exist without being controlled by either side, And this makes his transformation feel real because it is not loud, it is visible in how he lives each day. As time continues, the story does not go back to large dramatic events, because it does not need them anymore. It stays focused on continuity, on how life actually continues after everything intense has already happened. And this is where the narrative becomes stronger, because it shows that the real meaning is not just in the struggle, it is in what comes after it, in how a person chooses to live once everything has settled. And Judah's life now reflects that clearly. He is no longer defined by revenge or loss. He is defined by his actions, by his choices, by the way he carries himself. And this creates a sense of completeness that feels natural, not because the story ends but because it reaches a point where it no longer needs to prove anything. Everything has already been shown, everything has already been lived, and now it simply continues in a steady and grounded way. And this continuation is what gives the story its lasting impact, because it does not rely on a final dramatic moment, it relies on the sense that everything keeps moving forward, that the journey does not stop when the story stops. It continues quietly, steadily, in the way Judah lives, in the way he treats others, in the way he carries everything he has been through without letting it control him. And this is what makes the story feel complete, not because it closes, but because it reaches a point where nothing more needs to be added, nothing needs to be repeated, and everything moves forward with clarity, with stability, and with a quiet strength that remains constant without needing to be proven again. The story continues with a steady sense of life where nothing feels forced and nothing repeats, because now everything depends on how Judah chooses to live after everything he has faced. And this is where his journey gains its real meaning, not through new struggles but through the way he handles simple everyday moments. Because earlier his life was shaped by pressure and loss, but now his actions come from understanding. And this understanding shows in the way he deals with people. He does not rush into conversations, he listens carefully, he responds only when it matters. And this creates a calm presence that others naturally trust. And over time this trust becomes something strong, something that builds quietly but lasts. And people begin to rely on him not because he holds authority but because he holds balance. And this balance becomes the core of his character, something that keeps him steady even when everything around him continues in the same way. And his home reflects this change clearly, not because it is free from problems but because it feels stable, and that stability comes from the people inside it. His mother carries a quiet strength that comes from everything she has endured. His sister begins to live without the fear that once defined her, and this shared experience creates a bond that feels real and unbreakable. And Judah becomes the center of that space, not by control but by presence, by the way he holds everything together without forcing it. And Esther remains an important part of this, her presence calm and consistent. She understands without needing to ask, supports without creating pressure, and this makes their connection feel natural, because it is built on trust and time rather than sudden emotion. And this kind of relationship grows slowly but remains strong. And outside their space the world does not change, authority still controls everything, power still works the same way, but Judah no longer reacts to it like before. He does not try to fight it at every step, and he does not try to become part of it either. He simply lives within it with awareness, choosing when to act and when to stay still. And this ability to choose becomes one of his greatest strengths, because it keeps him away from unnecessary conflict while allowing him to stand firm when needed. And this balance is what sets him apart from others, because most people either resist everything or accept everything. But Judah finds a way to exist without being controlled by either side. And as time continues, the story does not return to large dramatic events, because it does not need them anymore. It focuses on what comes after everything intense has already happened, and this is what gives the narrative its depth, because it shows that the real meaning of a journey is not just in the struggle, it is in how a person lives after it. And Judah's life reflects that clearly. He is no longer defined by revenge or loss. He is defined by his actions, by his choices, by the way he carries himself. And this creates a sense of completeness that feels natural, not because the story ends but because it reaches a point where nothing more needs to be proven, everything has already been lived and understood, and now it simply continues in a steady and grounded way. And this continuation gives the story its lasting strength, because it does not depend on a final moment, it depends on the feeling that everything keeps moving forward, that the journey continues quietly in the way Judah lives each day. in the way he treats others, in the way he carries everything he has been through without letting it control him. And this is what makes the story feel complete, not because it closes, but because it reaches a point where nothing needs to be added or repeated, and everything moves forward with clarity, stability, and a quiet strength that remains constant without needing to be proven again. Judah's life now unfolds through quiet decisions that carry real weight, not loud actions, and this is where his growth becomes clear, because instead of reacting to everything around him, he begins to shape situations through patience. He steps in only where his presence can actually make a difference, and this makes his actions feel more precise, more meaningful, and people around him start to notice that he does not waste energy on things that do not matter. He focuses only on what truly needs attention. And this approach slowly changes how others behave in his presence, because when someone carries that kind of control, it influences the space around them, and over time Judah becomes someone people turn to when they are unsure, not because he holds authority but because he brings clarity, and this clarity does not come from power, it comes from experience, from everything he has already endured and understood, and this gives his words weight even when he speaks very little, and as this continues, his daily life gains a quiet structure where each moment feels intentional, nothing random, nothing wasted, and this creates a rhythm that feels stable without becoming dull, because it is built on awareness rather than routine, and inside his home the same energy exists. His family moves forward without fear guiding them anymore, they begin to live instead of just recover, and this shift changes the atmosphere completely, because now their life is not about what happened before, it is about what they are choosing now, and Esther remains a constant presence in this space. Her strength shows in how she adapts without losing herself, and this makes her connection with Judah even stronger, because both of them now operate from understanding instead of emotion, and this creates a bond that feels balanced, where neither depends on the other to feel complete, but both move forward together with the same direction. And outside this space, the world still runs on. Same rules, nothing changes there, but Judah no longer feels the need to engage with it in the same way. He does not ignore it, but he does not let it control him either. He moves through it with awareness, and this makes his path different from those who are either trapped by the system or constantly fighting against it, because he exists in a way that is not defined by either side, and this becomes his real strength, the ability to remain steady no matter what surrounds him, and as time passes, this way of living becomes more natural, less something he thinks about and more something he simply does, and this is where the story finds its strongest point, because it is no longer about change happening, it is about change being lived, and this gives every moment a sense of purpose without needing to create new conflict, because everything already holds meaning, and as his journey continues, it does not feel like it is leading toward an ending, it feels like it is continuing beyond what can be shown, moving forward in a way that remains clear, steady, and fully grounded in everything he has already become. Judah's life continues to take shape through choices that feel deliberate and grounded, where each action has purpose without needing to be dramatic, and this is where his transformation feels complete, not because everything around him has changed but because he now understands how to move within it without losing himself, and this shows in the way he handles situations that once would have pulled him into conflict. He no longer reacts instantly, he observes, considers, and then acts only when it matters, and this creates a sense of control that is quiet but strong, and people around him begin to recognize this difference. They see that he is not driven by impulse, and this makes them trust his judgment, and that trust builds slowly but becomes lasting, and as it grows it begins to shape how others behave, because when someone carries that kind of steadiness it influences the space around them, and over time Judah becomes someone people rely on, not for authority but for clarity, and this clarity becomes one of his defining traits, something that sets him apart without needing to be stated. Inside his home, this same clarity creates a stable environment where everyone feels secure without needing constant reassurance. His mother carries herself with a calm strength that comes from everything she has survived. His sister begins to step into her life without the weight that once held her back, and this shared progress strengthens their bond, making it feel natural and unforced. And Judah's presence holds this space together not through control but through consistency, and Esther remains a central part of this, her presence steady, her understanding clear, and what makes her important is not grand actions but the way she remains constant, and this creates a connection between them that feels balanced, because both of them now operate with the same awareness, and this allows their relationship to grow in a way that feels real, based on time, trust, and shared experience rather than sudden emotion. Outside their space, the world continues exactly as it always has. Authority still operates in the same way, power still belongs to the same hands, but Judah's relationship with that world has changed completely. He does not feel the need to challenge it at every step, and he does not try to become part of it either. He moves through it with awareness, choosing carefully where his presence matters, and this ability to choose becomes one of his greatest strengths, because it allows him to avoid unnecessary conflict while still standing firm when needed, and this balance is what sets him apart from others, because most people either resist everything or accept everything, but Judah finds a way to exist without being controlled by either side, and this makes his transformation feel real, because it is visible in how he lives each day. As time continues, the story does not return to intense conflict, because it does not need to. It focuses on what comes after everything has already happened, and this is where the narrative gains its depth, because it shows that the real meaning of a journey is not just in the struggle, it is in how a person lives after it, and Judah's life reflects that clearly. He is no longer defined by loss or revenge. He is defined by his actions, by his choices, by the way he carries himself, and this creates a sense of completeness that feels natural, not because the story ends but because it reaches a point where nothing more needs to be proven. Everything has already been lived and understood, and now it simply continues in a steady and grounded way, and this continuation gives the story its lasting strength, because it does not rely on a final moment. It relies on the feeling that everything keeps moving forward, that the journey continues quietly in the way Judah lives each day, in the way he treats others, in the way he carries everything he has been through without letting it control him, and this is what makes the story feel complete, not because it closes, but because it reaches a point where nothing needs to be added or repeated, and everything moves forward with clarity, stability, and a quiet strength. Judah continues his life with a quiet control that shows in every decision he makes, not through big actions but through how he handles small moments with care and awareness, and this is where his journey feels truly complete, because he no longer reacts based on what he lost or what he went through. He responds based on what he understands now, and this changes everything around him. People begin to see that he does not rush into judgment, he does not speak without purpose, and he does not involve himself where he is not needed, and this creates a respect that feels natural and lasting, not built on fear or power but on consistency, and as this continues he becomes someone others turn to when they are unsure, because his presence brings clarity, and this clarity comes from experience, from everything he has already faced and moved beyond, and inside his home this same stability exists. His mother and sister continue to rebuild their lives without being held back by the past, and this shared strength creates a bond that feels real and unshaken, and Judah holds that space together not by control but by simply being steady, and Esther remains an important part of this balance, her presence calm, her understanding clear, and what makes her connection with Judah strong is that it grows naturally, without pressure, without the need for constant expression, because it is built on trust and time, and this makes their relationship feel grounded and real, and outside their space. The world continues exactly as it always has, authority still controls everything, power still operates in the same way, but Judah no longer reacts to it like before. He does not try to fight it blindly, and he does not try to become part of it either. He moves through it with awareness, choosing when to act and when to stay back, and this ability to choose becomes his strength, because it allows him to remain steady without being pulled into unnecessary conflict, and this is what sets him apart. Because most people are either controlled by the system or constantly fighting it, but Judah finds a way to live without being defined by either side. And as time continues, the story does not return to intense events, because it does not need them anymore. It focuses on how life continues after everything has already happened, and this is where it gains its depth, because it shows that the real meaning is not just in what a person goes through, it is in what they become after it, and Judah's life reflects that clearly. He is no longer defined by revenge or loss. He is defined by how he chooses to live, by how he treats others, by how he carries himself, and this creates a sense of completeness that does not depend on an ending, because the story does not stop, it continues in a natural and steady way, and this continuation gives it strength, because it feels real, it feels grounded, and it shows that everything that happened before still exists, but it no longer controls what comes next. And this is what makes the journey feel finished without actually ending, because it moves forward with clarity, stability, and a quiet strength that does not need to be repeated or proven again. Judah continues forward with a steady discipline that shows in how he manages time, attention, and relationships, and this makes his life feel structured without becoming rigid, because he chooses what deserves his focus and ignores what does not, and this habit shapes his days in a practical way. He keeps his commitments, he follows through on what he starts, and he avoids unnecessary complications. And this consistency builds a reputation that spreads quietly. People begin to rely on him for fair judgment and clear direction, and when disagreements arise he listens to both sides, separates emotion from fact, and guides the situation toward a solution that holds. And this approach reduces conflict around him because it replaces reaction with process. And over time this becomes a pattern others adopt, not because he tells them to but because it works. And inside his home this same discipline creates stability. Routines form without pressure, responsibilities are shared without conflict, and the atmosphere remains calm because expectations are clear, and his mother and sister continue to regain confidence through daily progress, not sudden change, and this makes their recovery feel solid and lasting. And Esther remains closely aligned with this way of living. She supports the structure without losing warmth, she pays attention to details others miss, and she steps in where needed without creating tension. And this strengthens their connection because it is based on cooperation and trust. And as they move forward together their decisions become more aligned, they plan ahead, they adjust when needed, and they keep moving without losing balance. And outside their space the larger system still operates with the same rules. Authority remains firm, but Judah navigates it with awareness. He respects boundaries where necessary, he pushes back where it matters, and he does both without creating unnecessary friction. And this makes his position strong because it is practical, not driven by impulse. And as time passes his influence grows through results. People see that his way of handling things leads to stability, fewer mistakes, and better outcomes, and this builds long-term trust that does not depend on titles. And the story continues through this steady progression where each decision leads into the next without disruption, and this gives it weight because it reflects real change, not a moment but a pattern. And Judah's life now shows that growth is maintained through consistent choices, clear thinking, and controlled action. And this is what keeps everything moving forward with purpose, without noise, and without the need to repeat what has already been proven. Judah continues to refine how he lives, not by adding more to his life but by removing what does not serve a purpose. And this makes his actions more focused and effective, because he spends his time on what actually matters, and this discipline shapes how he manages both people and situations. He does not get involved in unnecessary arguments, he does not chase approval, and he does not allow distractions to break his direction. And this creates a sense of control that is visible in everything he does, and people begin to recognize that he values clarity over noise, and this makes them approach him with respect, not because he demands it but because his way of handling things proves itself over time. And as this continues he becomes known for making decisions that hold, decisions that do not create new problems, and this reliability builds strong trust, and that trust becomes a key part of his influence. And inside his home this same approach keeps everything balanced. There is no confusion about roles, no tension over expectations, because everything is understood and handled with care, and his mother and sister continue to grow stronger through this stability, not through sudden change but through steady progress, and this makes their confidence real and lasting. And Esther remains closely connected to this structure. She supports it without forcing it, she notices what needs attention and acts quietly, and this strengthens their bond because it is based on mutual understanding and shared direction, and together they move forward without needing constant adjustment, because they remain aligned in how they see things, and outside their space the world continues under the same system. Nothing changes there, but Judah's way of moving through it remains controlled. He chooses when to engage and when to step away, and this keeps him from being pulled into unnecessary conflict. And this ability to manage his position becomes one of his strongest qualities. because it allows him to stay effective without losing balance. And as time passes, his influence grows not through power but through results. People see that his way leads to stability, and this creates a long-term impact that does not fade. And the story continues through this steady development where each step builds on the last without repetition. And this gives it strength because it reflects real growth. Not a single moment but a consistent pattern. And Judah's life now shows that true change is maintained through discipline, awareness, and the ability to stay focused on what matters. And this is what keeps everything moving forward with clarity and purpose without needing to return to what has already been done. Judah keeps advancing with a sharper sense of priority, where each choice is filtered through what truly matters and what can be left aside. And this gives his life a clean direction that others can recognize, because he no longer spreads his effort across everything. He concentrates on the few things that create real impact. And this focus changes how he leads situations. He breaks problems into clear steps, assigns responsibility with fairness, and follows up until the result is stable. And this method reduces confusion and builds confidence in the people around him, because they know what is expected and how to deliver it. And over time, this approach creates a culture of accountability, where people take ownership instead of shifting blame, and this strengthens every outcome he is involved in. And inside his home, this same clarity keeps daily life smooth. Decisions are made without friction, time is used well, and small issues are handled before they grow, and this prevents tension from building, allowing the space to remain calm and reliable. And his mother and sister continue to gain strength through consistent routines that support their progress, and this steady rhythm replaces uncertainty with confidence. And Esther remains aligned with this direction. She organizes details that others overlook, maintains balance between structure and care, and ensures that nothing important is neglected. And this strengthens their partnership because it is based on shared standards and mutual respect. And together they plan ahead, adjust when needed, and keep moving without losing control. And outside their space, the wider system still operates under the same authority, but Judah navigates it with precision. He gathers information before acting, he anticipates consequences, and he chooses actions that hold over time. And this reduces risk while increasing effectiveness. And as his results become consistent, his reputation grows. People seek his input because it leads to clear outcomes, and this builds influence that does not depend on position. And the story continues through this disciplined progression where each step adds value and nothing is wasted. And this creates a sense of forward movement that feels solid and reliable. And Judah's life now reflects a pattern where clarity, focus, and execution define his path, keeping everything aligned and moving ahead with purpose without falling back into old habits or repeating what has already been proven. Judah continues forward with a deeper level of control that now defines how he handles both people and situations. And this control is not rigid, it is flexible, built on awareness and experience, which allows him to adjust without losing direction. And this becomes clear in the way he approaches decisions. He does not rush, he takes time to understand the full picture, weighing outcomes before acting. And this habit reduces mistakes and builds stronger results. And over time, people begin to notice that when Judah is involved, things move with clarity and purpose. Because he does not allow confusion to grow, he addresses it early, breaks it down, and turns it into something manageable. And this makes him reliable in a way that stands out, not because he seeks attention but because his actions consistently lead to stability. And this stability begins to influence others. They start to adopt parts of his approach, focusing more on solutions than reactions. And this creates a gradual shift in how people around him operate, because his presence sets a standard without him needing to enforce it. And inside his home, this same approach keeps everything balanced. Routines exist, but they do not feel restrictive. They support daily life in a way that removes unnecessary stress. And his mother and sister continue to rebuild their confidence through these steady patterns, not through sudden change but through consistent progress. And this makes their strength feel real and lasting. And Esther remains closely connected to this structure. She understands the rhythm of how things are managed and supports it with attention to detail, ensuring that nothing important is overlooked. And this strengthens their bond because it is built on cooperation and trust, not on dependency. And together they maintain a life that feels organized yet natural, where each part supports the other without creating pressure. And outside their space, the world still operates under the same system. Authority remains unchanged, but Judah's way of navigating it continues to evolve. He becomes more precise in how he engages, choosing moments carefully, acting only where it creates value, and stepping back where it does not, and this keeps him effective without being drawn into unnecessary conflict. And as time passes, his reputation grows stronger. People recognize that his decisions hold weight because they are based on understanding rather than impulse, and this builds long-term trust that does not fade, and the story continues through this steady development where each step adds to what has already been built, without repetition, without wasted effort, and this creates a progression that feels grounded and real, because it reflects how true growth works, not through sudden change but through consistent action over time. And Judah's life now shows that strength is maintained through discipline, clarity, and the ability to stay focused on what matters, and this is what keeps everything moving forward with purpose, stability, and a clear direction that does not break. Judah continues with a sharper focus on outcomes, where every action is tied to a clear result and nothing is done without purpose. And this gives his daily life a structure that feels efficient without being rigid, because he adapts when needed while keeping his direction intact. And this becomes visible in how he plans his time. He sets priorities, allocates effort, and follows through until tasks are completed properly. And this habit reduces delays and prevents small issues from turning into larger problems, and people around him begin to depend on this consistency because they know that when he commits to something it will be handled with care and finished with precision, and this builds a level of trust that extends beyond personal relationships into wider interactions. And as this trust grows, it creates opportunities for him to influence outcomes in a constructive way, not by force but by guidance. And this guidance is practical. He breaks complex situations into simple steps, assigns responsibility clearly, and ensures that progress is tracked. And this approach improves results for everyone involved, because it removes uncertainty and replaces it with clear direction. And inside his home, this same clarity keeps life organized. Responsibilities are shared without confusion, expectations are understood, and this prevents tension from building, allowing the environment to remain calm and stable. And his mother and sister continue to gain strength through this steady system. They become more confident in handling their own roles, and this shared responsibility strengthens their bond, making their connection feel balanced and supportive. And Esther remains an integral part of this structure. She manages details with care, keeps things aligned, and supports Judah's approach without creating pressure, and this strengthens their partnership because it is based on coordination and mutual respect. And together they maintain a life where everything functions smoothly without losing warmth. And outside their space, the larger system continues to operate as it always has. Authority remains firm, but Judah's way of navigating it becomes even more refined. He gathers information before acting, evaluates risks, and chooses actions that provide long-term stability, and this makes his decisions more effective, reducing unnecessary conflict while still allowing him to stand firm when required. And as time progresses, his influence grows because of these results. People recognize that his approach leads to fewer mistakes and better outcomes, and this builds credibility that does not depend on position, and the story continues through the steady progression where each step builds on the last, creating a path that feels strong and reliable. And Judah's life now reflects a pattern where discipline, clarity, and execution guide everything he does, allowing him to move forward with confidence and purpose without returning to old patterns or repeating what has already been proven. Judah keeps moving forward with a stronger sense of direction that comes from how clearly he now understands what deserves his attention and what does not. And this makes his decisions sharper, because he no longer wastes time on things that do not create value. He focuses on what can actually move his life and the people around him in a better direction, and this clarity begins to show in the way he handles responsibility. He does not take on more than he can manage, but whatever he takes on, he completes with full focus, and this makes his work consistent, and that consistency builds a reputation that becomes stronger over time, because people start to see that his results are not random, they are the outcome of discipline and planning. And this trust allows him to take on more important roles without needing to push for them, because others begin to offer him those positions naturally. And this is where his influence grows in a practical way, not through authority but through reliability, and this reliability becomes a key part of how he operates, because it allows him to guide situations without forcing control, and as this continues he becomes more efficient in how he manages both time and effort. He reduces unnecessary steps, simplifies processes, and ensures that everything moves in a clear direction, and this approach makes his actions effective, because nothing is wasted, everything has purpose, and inside his home this same mindset keeps life balanced. There is no confusion about roles, no overlap that creates tension, because everything is handled with clarity, and his mother and sister continue to gain strength through this structure, not through sudden change but through steady progress, and this makes their confidence real and lasting. And Esther remains deeply connected to this system. She understands how things are managed and supports them with attention and care, ensuring that nothing important is missed, and this strengthens their bond, because it is built on shared responsibility and trust, and together they create a life that feels organized yet natural, where everything works without needing constant correction, and outside their space the world still operates under the same authority. Nothing changes there, but Judah's ability to move within it continues to improve. He becomes more precise in how he engages, choosing moments where his actions will have the most impact, and stepping away from situations that do not require his involvement, and this keeps him effective without unnecessary conflict. And as time goes on his influence grows because of this approach. People see that his way leads to stability, fewer problems, and better outcomes, and this builds long-term trust that does not fade, and the story continues through this steady growth where each step adds value without repetition, and this creates a progression that feels grounded and real, because it reflects how true development works, not through sudden change but through consistent action over time. And Judah's life now shows that strength comes from discipline, clarity, and the ability to stay focused on what matters. And this is what keeps everything moving forward with purpose and stability without losing direction or falling back into old patterns. Judah wakes before sunrise, not out of restlessness but out of habit that has slowly settled into him, and the house is quiet in a way that feels earned rather than empty, the kind of silence that comes when nothing is pressing against you from the inside. He steps into the courtyard where the first light has just started to touch the walls, and his mother is already there, sitting with her hands folded, not in worry but in stillness. He sits beside her without speaking, and for a moment, nothing needs to be said, because both of them understand how far they have come without needing to describe it. The past is still there but it no longer sits between them, it rests somewhere behind them, and after a while Tirza walks in, her steps light, not hesitant anymore. There is no fear in how she moves. She looks at Judah and smiles in a simple, normal way, and that normalcy carries more weight than anything else, because it was once impossible. Judah nods back at her, a small gesture, but it holds everything he could say, and then Esther appears, already moving with purpose, adjusting small things, preparing the day without drawing attention to herself. She does not ask what needs to be done, she already knows, and Judah watches her for a moment, not in surprise but with quiet respect, because he understands what consistency looks like now, and she has been that from the beginning. Their eyes meet briefly, nothing dramatic, just a shared understanding that does not need to be explained, and the morning continues, simple, steady, real. Later Judah steps outside into the streets, and the city is the same as it has always been. Roman soldiers pass by, their presence firm, people move around them carefully, conversations lower when they come near. Nothing has changed out here, but Judah moves through it differently now. He does not carry tension in his shoulders, he does not look for confrontation. He watches, he listens, he understands, and when something needs his attention he steps in without hesitation, not with force but with clarity. At one point he notices two men arguing near a market stall, voices rising, others beginning to gather. He walks over, not rushing, not demanding silence, just present, and that presence alone begins to lower the noise. He listens to both sides fully, lets them speak, and then he breaks the issue down into something simple, something both of them can see clearly, and within moments the tension fades, not because he overpowers them, but because he removes the confusion, and they step away without further conflict, no applause, no attention, just resolution, and Judah continues walking as if nothing unusual happened, because for him it is not about being seen, it is about keeping things steady where he can. As the day moves forward, he stops at places where he is needed, not everywhere, only where it matters. He does not try to fix everything. He understands that not everything requires his involvement, and this is what keeps his actions effective, by choosing carefully, by not wasting effort. And people begin to notice this pattern. They start to recognize that when he steps in, things become clear, and when he steps away, it is because it does not need him. And this creates a quiet trust, not built on power, but on consistency. And as the sun begins to lower, he returns home, the same calm waiting for him. Esther is finishing the last of the day's work. Tirzah is speaking with their mother, and there is a natural flow in the house that does not need to be managed. It simply works. Judah sits with them, listening more than speaking, and this is where his strength feels the most real, not in control, not in conflict, but in presence, in the way he holds everything together without forcing it. And as the evening settles, there is no sense of something missing, no need for anything more, because everything that matters is already there, steady, clear, and quietly complete. And this is how his life continues now, not driven by what happened before, not pulled by what could happen next, but lived fully in each moment as it comes, with a calm that does not break and a direction that does not need to be explained. The next morning begins with a softer light and a slower pace, the kind that makes every small movement feel clear, and Judah steps out into the courtyard where the air still holds the cool of the night. He washes his hands, takes a moment, then looks toward the doorway where Esther is already arranging the day without making it noticeable, a pot set aside, water prepared, small details handled before anyone asks. And he nods once in quiet thanks. She returns it with the same calm, no words needed. Tirzah joins them carrying a basket, her steps steady. She speaks about going to the market, not with worry but with simple intention. Judah offers to walk part of the way, not to control, just to share the path. And as they move through the streets, the city unfolds with its usual rhythm, vendors opening stalls, voices rising, soldiers crossing through at intervals, people adjusting their paths without stopping their work. And Judah notices how Tirzah moves among it now. She greets a woman she recognizes, pauses to help an old man adjust his load, then continues without making a moment of it, and he sees the change clearly, not in words but in action. And when they reach the market, he lets her go ahead, choosing not to hover, trusting her space. He turns toward a narrow lane where a group of workers are unloading supplies. One crate has fallen, blocking the way. Tempers are close to rising. He steps in, not to command, just to organize. He points out a simpler order, shifts. One piece, then another, asks two men to lift together instead of against each other, and within minutes the path opens, the work resumes, and he moves on without waiting for acknowledgement. Later he stops by a small workshop where a young craftsman is struggling to fix a broken tool. The man speaks quickly, frustrated. Judah listens, takes the tool, examines the weak point, suggests a small adjustment, not a full change, just enough to hold. They try it, it works, the man exhales, thanks him. And Judah leaves before the moment grows larger than it needs to be. As the day continues, he meets a merchant who asks for advice on a trade decision. Judah does not rush an answer. He asks a few direct questions, keeps the focus on facts, not fear, and helps the man see what he already knows, and that clarity is enough. By afternoon the sun is high and the streets are busier. Judah returns home where the rhythm is already set. Esther has prepared a simple meal. Tirzah is sorting what she brought back. Their mother sits nearby, listening, adding small comments that guide without interrupting, and Judah joins them, eats slowly, listens, then shares a few practical thoughts about the coming days, not plans filled with pressure, just clear steps, what needs to be done first, what can wait, who will handle what, and everyone understands. Without confusion, later in the evening a neighbor arrives with a concern about a boundary between two homes. Voices are calm but uncertain. Judah walks with him, hears both sides, measures the space, suggests a line that is fair and visible. They agree, not because he insists, but because it makes sense, and when he returns the house is quiet again. Esther is closing the day with the same care she opened it. Tirzah has finished her work. Their mother rests with a soft ease that was not there before, and Judah sits for a moment, not thinking about what comes next, just recognizing that the day held together without strain, and that is enough. And as night settles, he does not carry the weight of tomorrow. He trusts the same approach will guide it: steady attention, clear choices, and a presence that keeps things simple and aligned. And this is how his life continues, one day leading into the next, with purpose that does not need to be announced and strength that shows through how everything quietly holds. Judah steps out later that same day as the heat begins to settle into the streets, the city louder now, more crowded, more restless, and he moves through it without rushing, his pace steady, his eyes aware of everything around him, not searching for trouble but noticing where things are starting to slip. Near the marketplace, a young boy struggles to carry a heavy sack while others pass without stopping. Judah walks over, lifts it from his hands without making a scene, and walks a few steps with him, placing it where it needs to go. The boy thanks him quickly and runs off, and Judah continues as if nothing happened. Further ahead, a group of men are gathered, their voices low but tense, something about a disagreement over payment. He does not step in immediately, he listens first, understanding the situation before involving himself. Then he speaks, not loudly, just enough to be heard, breaking the issue into simple points, asking each side one direct question, and within moments the argument loses its edge, not because he forced it but because he removed the confusion that was feeding it, and the men separate without further trouble, and Judah keeps walking, not waiting for recognition, because that is not why he stepped in. As the day moves forward, he passes Roman soldiers moving through the streets, their presence still firm, still a reminder that nothing has changed in the system, but Judah does not react. He does not lower his gaze in fear or raise it in defiance, he simply continues, aware but unaffected, and this quiet control is what sets him apart now. Later, he stops near a water point where people gather, some waiting patiently, some trying to push ahead. He watches for a moment, then adjusts the line without ordering anyone, just guiding them into a clearer flow, and the crowd settles, the tension easing without a single command being given. And this is how he operates now, not by force, but by clarity. And as the sun begins to lower, he returns home. The same calm waiting for him. Esther is finishing the evening tasks. Tirza is speaking with their mother. The space feels alive but not chaotic, and Judah joins them, sitting quietly, listening, adding a few words when needed, not leading every moment but supporting it. And as night settles, there is no sense of something missing, no need for anything more, just a steady feeling that everything is in its place, and that is enough. Because now his life is no longer about chasing something or fixing everything. It is about maintaining what is already working, protecting the balance he has built, and moving forward without losing it, one moment at a time, with clarity that stays consistent and a presence that does not need to prove itself again. The next day begins with a soft light spreading across the city, and Judah steps outside with the same calm awareness that now defines him. The streets slowly filling with people as daily life begins, vendors setting up, children moving between narrow paths, soldiers passing through without slowing down, and he walks among all of it without tension, not avoiding anything, not seeking anything, simply present and aware. And as he moves forward, he notices a man struggling to control a loaded cart that begins to tilt on uneven ground. People step aside to avoid it, but Judah moves toward it, placing his hands firmly to steady the weight, guiding it back into balance without saying much, and once it is secure, he steps away without waiting for thanks, continuing on as if it was nothing unusual. Further ahead, he hears raised voices near a shaded corner where two merchants argue over a delivery that has gone wrong. Others are watching but no one steps in, and Judah pauses just long enough to understand the situation before approaching. He does not interrupt, he listens, allowing both sides to speak. Then he points out where the confusion began, breaking the problem into something simple that both can see, and within minutes the tension fades, not because he forced a solution but because he removed what was unclear, and the argument dissolves on its own, and he moves on again, not looking back. Because for him it is not about fixing everything, it is about stepping in where clarity is needed and stepping away when it is done. As the day continues, he walks through a part of the city where people gather near a water source, the line uneven, some trying to move ahead, others growing frustrated, and instead of ordering anyone, he quietly shifts the flow, guiding people into place with simple gestures and calm direction, and gradually the line straightens, the tension easing without resistance. And this is how he operates now, not through control but through understanding. And as the sun rises higher, the city grows louder, but Judah remains steady, unaffected by the noise around him, because his focus stays on what matters. And later he stops near a small workshop where a young worker struggles to repair a damaged tool, the man's frustration clear, and Judah watches for a moment before stepping closer, examining the problem, suggesting a small adjustment instead of a complete change. And when the tool works, again the relief on the man's face is immediate, and Judah leaves without making anything of it, because for him these moments are not events, they are simply part of how he lives now. As the afternoon begins to settle, he makes his way back home. The same calm space waiting for him, Esther moving through the house with quiet purpose, Tirza organizing what she has gathered, his mother resting with a sense of peace that was not always there, and Judah joins them, sitting without needing to take control of the moment, just being part of it, listening, speaking when needed, allowing everything to move naturally. And as the evening approaches, the house fills with a quiet rhythm that does not need to be managed, because it already works. And this is what his life has become, not something driven by conflict or urgency, but something steady, where each day carries its own meaning without needing to be pushed. And as night falls, there is no sense of unfinished business, no need for anything more, just a clear understanding that everything is in its place, and that is enough. Because now his life is not about chasing something ahead or fixing something behind. It is about maintaining what is present, protecting the balance he has built, and continuing forward with a calm strength that does not break and does not need to be proven again. Not heavier, just more active. And Judah steps out as the city is already in motion. The streets filled earlier than usual, traders moving faster, voices louder, and he senses that something has shifted in the rhythm of the day. Not a clear event, just a change in how people are moving, and he adjusts without thinking about it, slowing his pace where others rush, giving space where it is needed. And as he moves forward, he notices a group gathered near a narrow passage, a cart stuck sideways, blocking movement, people trying to push it from different sides without coordination, frustration building with each failed attempt. And Judah steps in, not with urgency but with control. He looks once, understands the angle, then places his hands at the right point, guiding two others where to push, another where to pull, and within moments the cart shifts, the path clears, and the crowd moves again, not stopping to acknowledge what just happened. And neither does he, because for him it is not about being noticed, it is about keeping things moving without letting them break. Further ahead, he passes a row of stalls where a woman struggles to keep her goods from falling as the wind picks up, cloth lifting, small items rolling, and he steps in quietly, holding one side steady while she secures the rest. No words needed, just a brief moment of help that passes as quickly as it came, and he continues walking, the city opening around him in layers, some calm, some tense, and he reads it without effort now, knowing where to slow down and where to move through. And near a central square he notices two men arguing over space, their voices louder than necessary, drawing attention, and he approaches without interrupting, standing close enough to be part of the moment but not forcing it. And as they speak he listens, then asks a single clear question that cuts through their argument. And in that moment both realize the issue is smaller than they made it, and the conflict drops. Not because he ended it, but because he showed them what it really was, and he moves on again, leaving no trace of involvement behind him. As the day grows warmer, the movement in the city becomes heavier, slower, and he adjusts with it, stopping briefly at a shaded area where a man sits tired from carrying weight for too long. Judah takes the load for a short distance, placing it where it needs to go, then steps back without making it into anything more, and this pattern continues through his day, not searching for problems, but responding where needed, and ignoring what does not require him. And this balance is what keeps him steady, because he is not pulled into everything, only what matters. And as the afternoon begins to fade he returns home, the same quiet order waiting for him, Esther moving through her tasks with the same calm precision, Tirza sharing something she found in the market, his mother listening with a soft expression that holds no worry, and Judah joins them, not taking over the moment, just being part of it, and as they sit together the noise of the city fades into the background, replaced by a calm that feels complete. And as evening settles there is no tension, no urgency, just a steady sense that the day has moved exactly as it should, nothing forced, nothing repeated, and this is how his life continues now, not driven by what once pushed him, but guided by how he chooses to move, one moment at a time, with clarity that stays constant and a presence that does not need to prove itself. The following day begins with a faint chill in the air, and Judah notices it as he steps outside, the kind of detail he once would have ignored, but now everything registers with quiet clarity. The streets are calmer at first, fewer voices, slower movement, and he walks through them with the same steady pace, not rushing, not delaying, simply moving in rhythm with what surrounds him. And as he turns into a narrower lane he sees a group of workers preparing to move heavy stones. There. Coordination off, each one pulling at a different moment, and the weight refuses to shift, tension building between them, and Judah steps closer, watching for a few seconds before speaking, not loudly, just enough to be heard. He adjusts their positions, aligns their effort, and when they try again the stone moves smoothly, the strain disappears, and the work continues, and he steps away before the moment turns into something more, because for him it is not about recognition, it is about keeping things from breaking. And as he continues walking the city begins to wake fully, more people filling the paths, more movement, more noise, and he moves through it all without losing his balance, because his focus stays internal, not scattered by what happens around him. And near a small water area he notices a young boy waiting with an empty container, pushed aside by others stepping ahead, and Judah does not argue or call attention. He simply shifts the space, creating room for the boy to move forward, and within seconds the line adjusts, the boy fills his container, and the moment passes without conflict. And this is how he handles things now, not by force but by direction, guiding without drawing attention. And further ahead he hears a louder dispute, sharper voices, two men arguing over a damaged item, each blaming the other. And this time the tension is stronger, more people gathering. And Judah approaches carefully, not stepping directly between them, but close enough to be part of the moment. He listens first, letting both speak fully, then he identifies the exact point where the issue began, separating what happened from what they think happened, and once that is clear the argument loses its strength, because confusion was holding it together, and when that is gone there is nothing left to fight over, and the crowd disperses as quickly as it formed, and Judah moves on without staying, because for him it is not about resolving everything, it is about restoring clarity where it is missing. And as the day continues he moves through different parts of the city, sometimes stepping in, sometimes simply observing, knowing the difference without needing to think about it, and this awareness keeps him steady, because he is not pulled into unnecessary situations. And as the sun reaches its peak he slows down, choosing quieter paths, allowing the day to move without forcing his presence into it, and eventually he returns home, the same calm waiting for him, Esther already finishing what needs to be done, Tirza speaking about her day with a sense of ease, his mother sitting nearby with a quiet peace that reflects everything they have moved beyond, and Judah sits with them, not leading, not controlling, just present. And as they share the evening there is no need for anything more, because everything already feels complete in its place. And as night settles the day ends without tension, without unfinished weight, just a steady understanding that everything moved as it should. And this is how his life continues now, not driven by urgency, not shaped by the past, but guided by a clear awareness that keeps him balanced, one moment leading naturally into the next without needing to be forced or repeated. The day opens with a thin layer of mist sitting over the lower streets, and Judah notices how the city sounds different when it has not fully woken. Footsteps softer, voices lower, the usual rush delayed by a few moments, and he steps out into that space with a calm presence, not carrying any expectation, just moving with attention. As he walks he passes a doorway where an elderly man struggles to secure a loose wooden panel that keeps shifting out of place. Judah stops without announcing himself, holds it steady while the man fixes the binding, and once it is secure he gives a small nod and continues, leaving no pause behind. Further ahead the streets begin to fill, movement building layer by layer, traders calling out, animals passing through, dust rising under the growing activity, and Judah adjusts his pace naturally, not trying to move faster than the flow, not getting stuck within it, simply navigating through with control. Near a bend in the road, he notices a small group gathered around a broken wheel, the cart tilted, goods at risk of spilling, and instead of stepping into the center, he circles once, understanding where the strain is coming from, then places himself where his effort matters most, lifting at the right point, guiding two others into position without commanding them, and together they reset the balance. The cart straightens, and the movement continues. No crowd forming, no attention lingering, and Judah steps away as if he was never part of it. As he moves deeper into the city, he passes a section where tension feels heavier, voices not loud but sharp, a disagreement forming between two men who refuse to give way to each other in a narrow path, and he slows down, not stepping directly between them, but changing the angle of the space, creating just enough room for movement, and without realizing it both adjust. The path clears, and the moment dissolves before it turns into something bigger, and he continues walking, not holding on to the moment, not thinking about it, because for him this is not an event, it is simply how things move when they are handled at the right point. Later in the day, the sun cuts through the mist and the city takes on its usual weight, louder, busier, more demanding, and Judah moves through it without losing his pace, choosing when to engage and when to pass through, and this choice is what keeps him steady, because he is not reacting to everything, only what requires him. Near a water point he sees a woman trying to lift a filled container that is heavier than she expected. He steps in, lifts it without a word, places it where she needs, and steps back before the moment grows, and this pattern continues, not planned, not forced, just part of how he moves now, and by the time the light begins to soften he returns home, the same quiet structure holding everything together, Esther moving through the space with silent precision, Tirza speaking with a calm ease, his mother resting without worry in her expression, and Judah joins them, not leading the moment, just sharing it, and as they sit together the noise of the day fades without effort, replaced by a stillness that feels earned, and when night settles there is no sense of anything left undone, no pressure carried forward, just a clear ending to a day that moved exactly as it should, and this is how his life continues, not through repetition, not through constant struggle, but through a steady way of moving that keeps everything in place without needing. Judah walks out as the day settles into its full rhythm, the sun now high enough to cast sharp shadows along the narrow streets, and the city feels more alive, more restless, voices overlapping, footsteps quicker, people moving with purpose, and he blends into that movement without losing his calm, not pushing through, not slowing down, just moving in a way that fits without being affected. As he turns into a wider street, he notices a man trying to pull a stubborn animal that refuses to move. The tension building as others begin to get blocked behind them. Judah steps forward quietly, places a hand on the rope, not pulling harder but easing the pressure, shifting the angle just enough, and the animal moves without resistance. The path clears, and he steps away before the moment becomes anything more. Further ahead, a group of young boys run through the street, laughing, chasing each other, one of them nearly colliding with a stack of goods. Judah catches the edge just in time, steadying it before it falls, and the boys barely notice, continuing on without pause, and he lets it pass with the same ease, because not every moment needs to be held. As he continues, he passes through a busier part of the market where the air feels heavier, a mix of heat and noise, traders calling out, customers bargaining, and in the middle of it a disagreement starts to rise, not loud yet but growing, two men locked in a stare, words tightening, and Judah slows down just enough to understand. He does not step in immediately, he lets it unfold for a second, then moves closer, not between them but beside them, his presence enough to shift the attention. He asks one short question, direct and clear, and the tension breaks slightly, then another, and suddenly both men realize the issue is smaller than they made it, and the conflict fades without needing force, and Judah continues without looking back, because for him it is not about ending every conflict, it is about stopping it before it grows. Later the streets begin to thin slightly as the day leans toward afternoon, and he takes a quieter path, the noise fading behind him. A woman sits near a wall adjusting a torn piece of cloth, struggling to hold it together. He pauses, takes the fabric gently, folds it in a way that holds stronger, shows her once, and hands it back. She nods with a quiet gratitude, and he moves on, nothing held, nothing stretched, just another moment passing naturally. And as he reaches home, the shift is immediate, the outside noise replaced with a calm that feels steady and real, Esther moving through the space with quiet focus, Tirza speaking softly with their mother, and Judah steps into that without interrupting it. He sits, listens, adds a few words when needed, and the evening settles without effort. No rush, no tension, just a steady presence that holds everything together without trying. And as the light fades, there is no sense of anything missing, no need for more, because everything already feels complete in the way it exists. And this is how his life moves now, not in big moments, not in repeated patterns, but in real time, through small actions. The afternoon leans into evening as Judah walks through a quieter stretch of the city, the noise behind him fading into scattered sounds, a few distant voices, footsteps echoing off stone, and the pace here feels slower, more settled. He turns into a narrow path where sunlight cuts between the walls in thin lines, and ahead he sees a young man struggling to lift a sack onto a cart, trying again and again but losing balance each time. Judah steps forward, takes one side of the weight, adjusts the angle slightly, and together they lift it into place without effort. The man gives a quick nod, slightly surprised, and Judah moves on without stopping. Further ahead, he passes a small group sitting outside a doorway, speaking in low tones. One of them looks tense, distracted, and Judah catches just enough of their conversation to understand something is unsettled. He does not interrupt, but as he passes, he leaves a short, simple suggestion, not advice, just a clear point that shifts how they see the situation, and he continues walking, not waiting to see what they do with it, because he has already done enough. As the light begins to soften, the city starts to slow, traders packing up, fewer voices calling out, and the movement becomes lighter. Judah walks past a small stall where a boy is trying to gather scattered items before closing. Dropping some as he rushes, Judah kneels briefly, helps him collect them, arranges them in a way that makes it easier to carry, and stands up. Without making it a moment, the boy looks up, says something quickly, but Judah is already moving forward, and this is how his presence works now. It comes in, fixes what is needed, and leaves before it turns into attention. As he reaches the main street, the Roman soldiers pass by, their steps heavy, controlled, and people shift aside automatically. Judah does the same, not out of fear, not out of resistance, just understanding the space. He continues once they pass, unaffected, and turns toward home. And the moment he steps inside, the atmosphere changes, the outside world drops away, replaced by a calm that feels steady. Esther is finishing the last of the evening tasks, moving quietly, everything in place without any rush. Tirza sits near their mother, speaking about something small, something ordinary, and that normalcy carries its own weight. Judah sits with them, not taking over the moment, just listening, adding a few words when needed, and the conversation flows naturally, no tension, no effort. And as night settles, the house grows still, not empty, but complete. And Judah leans back slightly, not thinking about what comes next, just aware that everything around him is exactly where it should be, and that is enough. Judah moves through a shaded stretch of the city where the sun barely reaches the ground, the walls on both sides holding the cool air inside, and the sound of the main street fades behind him. Here everything feels slower, more contained. He walks past a narrow doorway where a woman is trying to balance a stack of clay pots, one slipping slightly with each step. He reaches out, steadies the top one for a moment, giving her enough time to adjust the rest. She nods once without stopping, and he continues forward. Further ahead, the path opens into a small courtyard where a few men are sitting, one of them clearly frustrated, speaking faster than the others, repeating the same point, and Judah catches enough of it while passing to understand the problem is not what they are arguing about, it is what they are not saying. He slows just slightly and leaves a short line behind. something simple that shifts their focus to the real issue, and without waiting for a response he moves on. Tension behind him already changing direction. As he steps back into a busier street, the movement increases again, carts passing, people crossing from both sides, and he adjusts without thinking, his path never blocked, never forced. He simply finds space where it exists. Near a corner, a young boy tries to drag a small bundle that is heavier than it looks, stopping every few steps. Judah takes it for a moment, carries it across the difficult stretch, and hands it back without a word. The boy continues without even fully realizing what changed, and Judah keeps walking. Further along, a merchant is arguing with a customer over a small difference, their voices not loud but tight, repeating the same points, and Judah pauses just enough to listen, then asks a single clear question that reframes the situation. Both of them stop, look at each other, and realize the mistake. The tension drops instantly, and the exchange finishes without conflict, and Judah is already moving away, not turning it into anything bigger. As the light begins to shift, the streets slowly lose their edge, the movement becoming lighter, and he walks back toward home, the outside noise gradually fading, and when he steps inside, the space holds a quiet order that does not need to be managed. Esther moving through the last of the tasks with calm focus, Tirza sitting close to their mother, speaking about something small, something ordinary, and Judah joins them without interrupting the moment. He sits, listens, and lets the space remain as it is, because nothing needs to be changed, nothing needs to be added, and as the evening settles, there is no pressure carried into it, just a steady sense that everything around him is in place, and that is enough. Judah moves along a broader street where the light spreads evenly across the stone, the city fully awake now, voices layered, footsteps crossing in different directions, and he keeps a steady pace that does not clash with the flow. He turns near a row of vendors where a man struggles to keep a cloth stretched over his goods as the wind picks up. Judah steps in without pause, secures one corner, adjusts the weight along the edge, and the cloth settles into place. The man barely looks up before returning to his work, and Judah is already moving on. Further ahead, a pair of workers try to carry a long beam through a tight turn, bumping into the wall, losing balance, and he stops just long enough to show them a cleaner angle, one end lifted slightly, the other eased forward, and the beam passes through without resistance. They continue without breaking stride, and he does the same. As he enters a crowded section of the market, the noise thickens, traders calling out, people pressing closer, and in the middle of it a disagreement begins to rise, not loud yet but building. Two men locked into a repeating argument, each pushing the same point, and Judah listens for a moment before stepping closer. He does not interrupt immediately, he lets one finish, then asks a short question that cuts through the repetition. Both pause, reassess, and the tension drops without needing force. The exchange settles, and he moves away before the moment turns into anything more. As he continues, he passes a narrow passage where movement slows, a cart angled badly, blocking half the path, people trying to squeeze around it, frustration starting to show. Judah walks up, studies the position for a second, then shifts one wheel just enough to open space, guiding the next cart through, and the flow restores itself. No one stops, no one gathers, and he continues walking as if he was never part of it. Deeper into the street, a small group stands around a broken crate, goods spilling out, each person trying to fix it in their own way, making it worse. Judah kneels briefly, aligns the pieces, shows one clear way to hold it together, and once they follow it, the crate holds. The goods stay in place, and he stands and moves on without waiting. As the sun lowers slightly, the movement begins to ease, the edges of the day softening, and he turns into a quieter lane where a child sits trying to tie a loose strap that keeps slipping. Judah crouches, tightens it in a way that holds, taps it once to show it is secure, and stands up. The child looks up for a second, but Judah is already walking, and this is how his presence moves now, brief, precise, leaving things stable without drawing attention. As he approaches the main road again, Roman soldiers pass through, their steps heavy, people shifting aside instinctively, and Judah adjusts his path without hesitation, not resisting, not reacting, simply allowing the moment to pass. And once they are gone, he continues forward without carrying anything from it. And as the day leans toward evening, he turns toward home, the sound of the city gradually fading behind him, replaced by a quieter rhythm, and when he steps inside the shift is immediate, Esther moving through the space with quiet control, everything already in order, Tirzah speaking softly with their mother, and Judah joins them without changing the moment. He sits, listens, adds a few words when needed, and the space holds its calm without effort as the light fades. The house grows still, not empty but complete, nothing missing, nothing unsettled, and Judah remains there, present without pressure, aware without needing to act, because everything around him is already where it should be, and that is enough. Judah walks through the city as the final light of the day begins to stretch across the stone streets, not in a rush to reach anywhere but moving with a calm that has become part of him, and the city around him carries its usual life, traders closing their stalls, voices lowering, footsteps slowing, and he moves through it without being pulled by any of it, simply present, simply aware. As he passes a familiar corner, he notices a young man trying to fix a broken handle on a cart, struggling to keep it in place while others move around him, and Judah steps in without announcement, holds the piece steady, shows him a simpler way to secure it, and once it holds he steps back, leaving the man to continue, and he walks on without waiting for thanks, because he no longer needs those moments to mean anything more than they are. Further ahead he sees two men speaking in tense tones, not yet arguing but close to it, their words repeating, their faces tightening, and Judah slows just enough to understand what is actually wrong. Then he speaks a single clear point that shifts their focus away from emotion and toward the actual issue, and within seconds the tension fades, not because he ended it but because he made it clear, and he continues without turning back, leaving the moment behind him as if it never needed him in the first place. And as he walks deeper into the street the city begins to quiet, fewer voices, longer shadows, and the air carries a different stillness, one that comes when the day is letting go, and he moves through that space without thinking about what is past or what is coming next, because he no longer lives between those points, he lives in what is in front of him, and that is enough. Near a small open area he notices a child trying to gather scattered items before they are lost in the fading light, and Judah steps in, helps collect them quickly, placing them back in order, and before the child can even react he is already standing, moving, because he does not stay in moments longer than needed, he lets them pass as they are, simple, complete, and as he reaches the main road a group of Roman soldiers passes by, their presence still firm, still carrying the same weight it always has, and people move aside, lowering their presence instinctively, and Judah does the same without resistance, not out of fear, not out of submission, just understanding the space as it is, and when they pass he continues walking with the same calm, unchanged, and as he turns toward home the sounds of the city fall behind him, replaced by a quiet that feels steady, not empty, and when he steps inside the shift is immediate, the outside world drops away, and what remains is a space that holds together without effort, Esther moving through the last of the evening tasks with quiet focus, everything already in place before anyone asks, Tirzah sitting close to their mother, speaking in a soft tone about small things that carry no weight, and Judah joins them without interrupting the moment. He sits among them, not leading, not guiding, just present, and the conversation flows without pressure, without direction, simply existing as it is, and as the light fades. Completely the house grows still, not silent in an empty way but calm in a complete way, nothing missing, nothing unsettled, and Judah leans back slightly, not thinking about what tomorrow will bring, not carrying anything from what has already passed, because he no longer measures his life through those things, he lives in what is here, in what is steady, in what holds, and this is where everything settles, not in an ending, not in a final moment, but in a state where nothing needs to be added, nothing needs to be repeated, everything simply exists as it should, and that is where his journey rests, not finished, not closed, but complete in the way it continues forward without needing to be told again.